and welcome back to my weekly Shop My Stash. As usual, I'm going to be going over everything that I used last week. So these items here are in no particular order. We had the Too Faced Tutti Frutti, what is this? The Pineapple Paradise Strobing Bronzer, Pineapple Sun. This is a highlighter and bronzer. I really enjoy this. The bronzer is a bit light, but it works for me this time of year. Come summertime, it won't work, but right now I enjoy it. Then I have the Revolution Renaissance Glow. I think that's what it's called. Yes. And it was a bronzer and highlighter. I had been using the bronzer as an actual contour in here. I really like it. It's pretty cool tone, but as you can see, it's almost gone. But this highlighter in here, I haven't given it much love, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I really like this highlighter, and I need to remember it and use it more often. Then for blush, I had these two Too Faced palettes. I didn't use the eyeshadows in them. I just used the blushes. This is Peach Cobbler and Santa Baby. And as far as blushes go, they did not disappoint. They wore really well. They blended nice. They were actually super pigmented, so you have to use a light hand with those, but otherwise they were very nice. I have the I Heart Revolution Princess Cut Triple Baked Highlighter, and this is what this one looks like. I've worn this many times and I really enjoy it. It's like a silvery white almost kind of color. And then for face or eye palettes, we had the I Heart Revolution. This is the Creme Brulee palette. That's what that one looks like. I really enjoyed this palette this week, and it paired nicely with the other two palettes I had. I had the Revolution Beauty Water palette, and this one just gives a really nice, subtle look. They're not super pigmented, but they do leave a nice kind of color on the eyes, and it's just a really pretty look. It's not over the top or anything like that. It's just very subtle, very pretty. But it did go well with, again, this Creme Brulee palette. And then the last palette that I had was the Take Me to Santorini palette by Mavie, and it looks like this, and it's so pretty, but I had such a hard time with this palette this week. I've heard so many great reviews about these palettes, and this was I have two of them, and I haven't really used them that often. I think I got them in my collection and used them each once, and then haven't had a chance to really get into them, but this week I did use it, and while the mattes blended nice, they didn't last, and they creased pretty easily and pretty quickly even with the primer, and the shimmers in here definitely took some building up. They didn't go on nearly as pigmented as I had hoped. I did have to wet my brush. If you're someone who uses your fingers, maybe that won't be a problem, but I'm not someone who enjoys using my fingers when I'm putting on eyeshadow. I just have a hard time with it. Once I wet my brush, it was fine, but again, it was a little bit kind of finicky to work with, so it was a little disappointing. I still like the colors in here. It's still very pretty, and the mattes did blend nicely. The first time I wore it, I wore an all matte look, so I think that kind of added to the disappointment of it. Had I done a matte and shimmer look, it would have been fine, but yeah, so just keep in mind if you are going to be using or purchasing these palettes. Again, this is the first one I've really taken the time to actually use, and it wasn't as great as some of the reviews I've heard. So it's a beautiful color. It's a beautiful color story, but if it's frustrating to use, it may not be worth your money. The other things I have here is this is a Dew Pot by Laritzy. This is in the shade Halo. I'm not going to open it, but you can kind of see what color it is there. It is a shimmering color, it is a highlighter. It's not matte by any means. And this does not, play well over powder, which a lot of creams don't, so we're not going to hold that against it. But this thing, it's too close to my skin tone. It didn't show up at all, so when I used it, and I remembered to use it before I put powder on, which, let me tell you, that was a struggle, but I did remember at least once, and I put it on and I didn't get any kind of glow or anything from it. It was just kind of like my skin tone, and it just kind of made my foundation look a little bit funny underneath it, so I'm going to be passing this along because this is not something I enjoyed using, and it's not something I'm going to keep using. I have my two concealers here, the Smashbox Studio Skin Flawless. I love this one. I just wish I had a darker shade, but I will for sure pick up a darker shade when I run out of some other concealers and am in the need to purchase more because I do enjoy that one. And then we have the Revolution Pro Ultimate Coverage Crease Proof Concealer in C5. This one actually isn't that much of a favorite for me. I really had a hard time with it this week. I found that it creased a lot on me and made my eyes look really dry and cakey. And yeah, so for that reason, I think I'm going to declutter this one out of my collection this week as well. Now, to finish things off, we had the Peach Blur, what is this called? Translucent Smoothing Finishing Powder. I really like this powder. It looks rather peachy in the pan, but it doesn't come across on your skin that way at all, and I really like how it looked. It did blur my pores, and it was just a really nice finishing powder, so I was happy to have used that one this week. And then we had the Sugar Cosmetics Peach Peak Blush. It looks like this. Again, liked it, no problems there. And then the last item that I had was Rimmel. This is a puff that I put in, but it's the Stay Matte powder, and it is just a mess now. I'm going to keep using this, but I'm going to save it specifically just for my under eyes because I do like how it wears under my under eyes. And I will hopefully soon be able to pick up a new one in the correct shade. So that is everything that I used this past week. Now for this coming week, I am going to pick some new items. If you are new and you are not familiar with what I do, all of my eyeshadow palettes are numbered, and I have them all written down in a book. And then I go through and I use random number generator. I choose 3 palettes that I haven't used yet. I like to cycle through my entire collection once before I reuse a palette. So sometimes I might take like 6 tries before I come to 3 palettes that I haven't used yet, but that is what I do. So I have already done that. So I'm going to pull them out of my drawers, and then we will pick some other items to go along with those. Okay, so because I have a ton of Makeup Revolution eyeshadow palettes, they usually tend to come up quite often in my Shop My Stashes. So this week I did get one, and it is the Sweet and Tasty Popcorn palette. And there is actually a second one that came up, and it was, I find it, the Fundamental Reloaded palette. The last palette that I have is this one here. It's very similar to a Morphe palette. It's just a no-name palette here, though. It's a 35H. And yeah, I'll show you guys what those all look like once I pull everything that I'm going to be using for the week. So for face palettes this week, I'm going to be using this one. I forget what it was called. Maybe I can't remember. It's a Tarte palette. Hopefully it'll come to me, or maybe it's inside. I'll find out in a few minutes. And that one does have a number of blushes in it, but I'm going to pick another 1 or 2 just to add. Okay, I think I'm going to pick this one, which is the Too Faced Pomegranate one, because it has definitely different shades in it than what are in that palette that I just picked. And there's 2 right there, so I don't need any more blushes. That palette does have 1 highlighter in it, so I'm going to pick another 1 or 2 highlighters. You know what? I think we're going to go with Amrezy this week because she's here and she's pretty. And I think I'm going to pick this one as well. This is a Revolution Kiss Pink Kiss highlighter. So we have that. There's also a bronzer in that palette, so I don't need to pick a bronzer for this week. Then for concealers, we are going to pick, we're going to pick this Tarte Creaseless one again, and this is what happens when you don't have a large concealer thing to pick from. You just end up picking the same things every week. And that's okay. I don't need a ton. I have more than enough for what I need. And what other one are we going to use? I think I'm going to use this one. This is a Poudier one, and this is in the shade 05, oh, there we go, 05 Maple. Not that you could see that very good. Okay, so then I want a face powder and a setting powder. So I think for face powder this week, I'm going to go back to this no, you know what? Wait, yeah, this is a bit deep. So yeah, I should probably use this later. Okay, I'm going to use this. So for face powder this week, I'm going to use this Maybelline Superstay Better Skin in 25 Nude Beige. Pretty sure this is the lighter of the 2. Yes. So we're going to use this one as a setting powder, and then for a finishing powder, we'll try this Becca one again for a finishing powder. I have to use a very light hand with it. It is very pink for a powder, so I have to be careful, but it does give that soft blur look that I am looking for with a finishing powder. So yeah, I think we'll pick that one as well. Okay, so this is everything I picked. I keep thinking that I'm forgetting something, so editing Leah will add it in if I actually did. But for the life of me, I can't remember what I might be forgetting that I normally pick. So anyway, this is the popcorn palette. It has those purples and those teals in there. It's just a pretty palette. Then we have this fundamental palette. It's just a neutral palette, but very, very pretty. We have some mattes in there and some shimmers as well. And then we have this palette, which is the 35H, which looks like it will pair very well with that popcorn palette especially, and maybe even this fundamental palette. So I think we got some good palettes going there for the week. Then we have that Tutti Frutti blush. We do have the Pink Kiss highlighter, the Amrezy highlighter, and this is that Tarte palette. It has the bronzer here, the highlighter. Oh, no. It has the bronzer here, the highlighter here, and then 3 blushes. And then I also pulled a cream product. This is another one of those Laritzy Dew Pots, but this is in the shade Fine. So I just want to see, even though I didn't really like how it wore over my foundation, the last one, I just want to see if this one still I just want to see if this one looks at least better on my skin, if it shows up. If it doesn't, or if I don't like the way it looks and plays with the foundation, then I'll declutter it as well. But while I still have that other one fresh in my mind, I kind of want to test this one out to see what I'm thinking about it. So yeah, I did choose that. And yeah, again, I cannot remember anything that I'm forgetting, but it feels like I am. My lip products, my mascaras and my brows and all that sort of thing, I just pick depending on the look that I'm doing. And same with my contour, I usually just kind of pick whatever. I only have a couple that would suit me anyway for this time of year. So yeah, that's everything I think for my Shop My Stash. Let me know in the comments below if you do Shop My Stash and what products you're using this week. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a fantastic week. Bye-bye.